What's going on, everybody? This is Darius Ginn, leader of the Corporate Exodus. And what you are seeing today is a series, actually not a series. I'm about to start coming at you with a daily video, daily success tips, something that you can watch during lunchtime and get on with your day with that in mind to become more successful. So the idea of all of these videos would be to make me and you more successful every day. So here we go. Today, what I want to talk about is thinking differently. I want to challenge you to think differently, and here's why. Most of us will consider ourselves hard workers. You know, if you're viewing this video, you will probably consider yourself somewhat of a hard worker. If not, can't really help you. But you probably consider yourself somewhat of a hard worker. Now, you got two type of hard workers. You got people who don't get anywhere, but they still work really hard. They just, don't seem to have any upward progression. But then you got those other people who work hard, but they seem to just shoot up. And it can be a little bit frustrating when you're busting your ass, doing everything you can to make it to the next level, while somebody else who you feel you're just as talented as is catapulting up through the ranks. So we're going to talk about thinking differently, because essentially that's what we need to do to get to the next level. So how can I break this down to you? I'll give you a little story. So let's say that two guys are looking for a job, and they find in the paper, they find an ad at a lumber yard, and so it's like, hey, we're gonna go up there and try to get this job. Guys' names are John and Rick. So they get to the building and they talk to the owner of the lumber yard. He says, you know what, guys, I appreciate you coming in. I'm gonna give the job to the guy who can chop down the tree the fastest. And so he takes John and Rick outside and he's showing these massive trees, and he throws two axes to him, and he says, guys, whoever can chop down this tree the fastest can have the job. I only have one job. Whoever can get it fastest gets the job. And so John and Rick look at each other. Both of them are flat broke, so now it's a competition. They're like, I gotta make this happen. And so John, as soon as the axe drops on the floor, John runs out, picks up the axe, and runs immediately to the tree, and he starts chopping and chopping and chopping, and after a few minutes, he looks up. He's sweating, tired. He looks over at Rick, and Rick's gone. What is Rick doing? I mean, doesn't he want this job? He has to be just as broke, or maybe he's not. I mean, maybe Rick has. So John's worried about Rick's doing, what Rick's doing for a second, but he gets back to the tree, and he's chopping and chopping and chopping. Then Rick walks back out. He walks back out of the boss's office, and John's thinking, hey, man, where did Rick go? I mean, does he knows that we have to chop down the tree, right? Those are the rules. But Rick comes out with a book, and Rick goes down. He sits on the ground next to his tree, and he starts reading his book, flipping through the book. And John starts laughing. He's like, what's this kid doing? I mean, whatever. I don't have time for this. He's chopping and chopping and chopping. And he looks up again, and John leaves. And he's like, okay, this dude is nuts. I don't know what's going on, but I better just hurry up and keep my head down, keep working, because I'm halfway through this tree. Rick hasn't even stopped, and I'm about to get this job. So John's chopping and chopping and chopping again, and he looks up again and he sees Rick, and Rick's coming out. He comes up a building, swinging some keys, and Rick walks over to a bulldozer that's sitting next to the tree, and he hops in the bulldozer and goes over and pushes over the tree. And in that moment, John is pissed, and he's like, wow, did that really just happen? And so the boss walks out, and he sees that Rick's tree is knocked over, and John is only halfway done, and he gives Rick the job. He says, congratulations, Rick, you have the job. So obviously, it's easy to see what happened there. Rick thought differently. The object was the same, but Rick sat back for a little bit and thought what was the best way. See, what Rick was doing, instead of busying himself chopping, taking the hard way to do it, he decided to focus his energy, his hard work, on reading the manual of how to operate the bulldozer, so he can just use the bulldozer to knock it over. So that's just a little example of thinking differently. So, question of the day. What is one thing that you could do, or one thing you've heard of people doing where they have thought differently to become more successful? If you could share that right down here Share that information because there's a lot of people who could benefit from it. A lot of people who want to make it to the next level. All right, talk to you guys later.